So this is the top of the page. It says 19th of the 5th, 2018. It's a piece of paper that has a load of writing on that says my mum didn't know why she was in hospital, and just it's horrible to read. But this piece of paper, I'm not pushing. There's too many names around what's written down. I'm going to read it out to you. But at the top of the paper, it says the 19th of the 5th, 2018, and at the bottom of the page, along with all of the paperwork, all of the hospital paperwork, it says revised August 15, reviewed by whoever these people are, but I've not put their names in, named nurse for safeguarding approval by safeguarding adult operational groups, September 2015. My mum died in 2018, and all the paperwork is old paperwork. It's most odd why all the paperwork would be old paperwork. It says on here, my mum can't remember why she's in hospital. And she couldn't remember why she was in hospital because she thought she'd hurt her ankle, and yet she got kept in to have an operation to fix a femoral pin. She'd walked to the car and she was driven to the hospital, and she stood up in the hospital out of the wheelchair and sat on the edge of the bed. But apparently she had a femoral pin fitted the following day on the 22nd. All the dates are wrong on the paperwork. This says that it's on the 19th of the 5th, 2018 on paperwork from 2015. I don't understand why it's all on such old paperwork. I don't understand why it's on such old paperwork, and I don't understand why the dates are so wrong. Mum wasn't there until the 21st. Now, to me, I'm sorry that this is blurry. This is a second sheet of paper. It's also on paperwork from 2015, and it says that it has the same handwriting. The handwriting is exactly the same as the last piece of paper, but the signature on the bottom of the piece of paper is totally different to the last piece of paper. But it's also on paperwork from 2015, and my mum died in 2018. Now, I find this very strange. The patient is medically fit to be discharged. She lives with her husband at the moment. He can't take care of her. Her mobility is not so good to go home. She needs to be referred, she needs to be rolled constantly to check her for her, whatever this is anyway, mitts in place to prevent scratch and punch. Husband agreed. Now, when I saw my mum, she went in on the 21st. There was basically nothing wrong with her apart from she told me that she'd hurt her ankle, her shin. On the 22nd, I was told that she had an operation. And when I saw her afterwards, she couldn't do anything. I had to hold both her hands, pick up both her hands and hold them. She couldn't do anything. I rubbed her hands, and I was told to rub her hands and say, there. And I did, but I had to pick up both her hands. She wouldn't have known she was wearing mitts. She didn't have mitts on when I saw her. I never saw her with mitts on. But she also couldn't do anything for herself. She was just squirming around. It was absolutely disgusting. And this has the same handwriting again on a third different piece of paper with a different signature at the bottom of the paper. I don't know why I'm not allowed to get the hospital to look into these things more than they have, but it's just ridiculous. Again, this is a bit of paper that has very similar handwriting to the other three pieces of paper. Again, it's a different signature at the bottom. Has noticed that Mum finds it difficult to find the spoon in a bowl. That's absolute nonsense. There's pictures of her at Christmas and she's got a knife and fork in her hand. I used to have breakfast with her every day, and she could eat a yogurt in a yogurt pot with a spoon, with a tiny spoon, or she never had problems trying to eat. It's just very strange why all this stuff is written on days that my mum wasn't in hospital, and it's all on paperwork that's got old dates at the bottom. From 2005-6 to 2015, when my mum was in hospital, it was 2018, and she died in 4 days in the hospital, and yet all the hospital paperwork says that she went in on the 14th and died on the 28th, and it's just nonsense. All this stuff that's written about my mum. She probably did have her eyes tested 2 years previous, and the 2 years ago, and that would have been 2016, but she also had a CT scan because she was diagnosed, it was when she went for her diagnosis of dementia. And she had a CT scan, so I expect they would have checked her eyes. They probably checked everything at the same time. But there isn't actually, in the hospital records that are in all this paperwork that I've got, there's nothing that says that she went in and had a CT scan. It hasn't got the right dates in. It's very odd. It also says on the bottom of the page, TEP decision does not believe resuscitation is in my mum's best interest. What a load of nonsense. My mum complained of hurting her ankle. She was taken in and had an operation. Well, I was told she had an operation on the 22nd, and she died on the 24th. But she would have done if nobody was going to resuscitate her. In all this paperwork, it's absolutely crazy. It says that my mum didn't know what was going on because she didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know until the 1st of June 2020 when I received all of the hospital, well, not all of the hospital paperwork, but some of the hospital paperwork. And I got it over the whole year, and none of it makes any sense. There's 14, it says she was there for 14 days, and she was there for 4 days. There's 10 days of paperwork. To me, it looks like the paperwork, some of the paperwork, the ones 14th, 15th to the 21st, or to the 20th,